you've heard of the romantic comedy, but have you heard of the zombie romantic comedy? The Zom-Rom-Com? That is what people were actually calling this thing when it came out. Oh,
That's
hey everyone.
clever.
Yeah, it's not bad. It actually kind of works. Hey everyone, it's me, Aaron.
And I'm Michelle.
And Peach is down there going nuts right next to the camera, so if this thing gets knocked off balance, you know what tiny dog to blame. Anyway, this is week 3 of the post-Shriekout reaction. I gotta remember all the different things I have to do to introduce this. It's week 3 of the post-Shriekout reaction, the month-long celebration of horror where we review a brand new horror movie every single day, all part of Thorgiween, and this is viewer choice week, which means that every single movie that we're reviewing this week all comes from you, the audience, and this is another Patreon request. It comes from Master Blaster, who want us to either review Zombieland or Warm Bodies. They gave us that choice. And I will admit, I actually like Zombieland more than Warm Bodies, but people know Zombieland. And people talk about Zombieland. I never hear anyone talk about Warm Bodies. People talked about it when it came out, but then like it just kind of went silent on it, which is a shame because I actually like this film. As I said, Zombieland I think is a little bit better, but this film, it is unique. It is essentially, not essentially, it's almost literally Romeo and Juliet, but with zombies. What is that it stars our main protagonist zombie, R. He doesn't remember his name. He just remembers it started with an R. Which they even like dance around like, what could it be? And they like throw out every R name except Romeo. It's like,
Yeah, and he meets a human girl named Julie.
Yeah.
And what's even funnier is like he has a friend named M.
That one, I did not even catch that one the first time around that I saw this. So that was pretty cool that they did that. Because it's been a long time since I read Romeo and Juliet, but his friend's name was Mercutio?
Yes.
Yes, okay. And also, Peach, you're sneezing like crazy. Are you okay, buddy?
Yeah, you got dust in your nose, Peach.
This is what happens when you eat dust bunnies. Anyway, I can't help it. I am covered in fur. Anywho. Yeah, this won't be distracting to anyone. What am I talking about? People like Peach more than us in these reviews. Anywho, so yeah.
Just have the camera on Peach while we talk in the background.
I've seen Twitch streamers do that. Except just a camera especially for their dog. We could do that, except that there's no way Peach would stay still long enough. Anyway. What were we talking about? Oh yeah. Warm Bodies. This is what people subscribe to Patreon for. So this zombie, he one day ends up right into a group of survivors, and one of them is this girl. He sees her and it's that love at first sight kind of thing, and then he ends up attacking her boyfriend, or they're kind of on the they're kind of on the rocks at the moment.
It's complicated.
Yeah, exactly. But he attacks him, and what I love is that the entire time that R is stumbling around, he still has his internal monologue going, and you hear him actually thinking about like, yeah, so is my life. I just gotta stumble around now. He lives in this airport, and he's talking about all the people he sees. He's got, he does have a friend, and he says, well, I mean, I guess he's my friend. We just kind of sit and stare vacantly at each other every now and again. Every now and again, we grunt at one another and manage to say a word or two, like hungry. Yeah, I kind of enjoy seeing, like, I've always kind of been interested in the, like, what do zombies do when there aren't humans around?
Yeah, it's like, what are they thinking if they can think?
Yeah, exactly. So I did enjoy the depiction that they had going on here. I thought that was actually pretty good. But he ends up seeing this girl, love at first sight kind of thing. Then he ends up eating her boyfriend, and he talks about how the best part of the human is the brain, because when they eat the brain, they actually see the memories of that human, and it's the one moment when they actually kind of get to feel alive again. They kind of get to feel like they have some human inside of them. It's that zombies don't get to sleep, so they don't get to dream. So this is the closest they get to dreaming. I actually enjoy that. I've never heard of like a zombie film actually giving an explanation to why zombies eat brains. Closest I can come to is Revenge of the Living Dead, or no, Return of the Living Dead, where they said that they just have this hunger, and the hunger is specifically for brains, and it makes the pain go away from most. Like, that's the closest I've seen, and this one actually went into like some detail about that, so I enjoyed that. But when he's eating the brain, he sees their relationship, so he actually gets to know this girl, and he kind of develops a few feelings for her based on the memories that he just saw. So what he does is he actually is able to get a little bit of control because his hunger is satiated for the moment. So he takes the girl back to the airport with him.
Yeah, like he covers her in blood to like disguise her scent from the other zombies, so.
Yeah, and they go back there and he slowly is able to start talking a little bit more, and she wants to leave, but she's terrified because she's surrounded by zombies. She doesn't know what's happening.
And the only one person she can trust is a zombie.
Well, she can't even trust him at first because
she didn't know what he was doing with her.
Well, exactly. Yeah.
She thought he was holding her hostage.
Yeah. So she is very concerned about what's going on, but slowly he starts to be able to talk to her, and then she just becomes fascinated because wait, a zombie can talk? Like, wait, you actually have thoughts? So she sticks around for a little while just to learn more about what he is, and they end up basically having a date. They like go out driving on the road, which here's something that I'm just gonna come in here and say. For anybody out there who is like the big zombie apocalypse stickler, and it's like, well, in the zombie apocalypse of 8 years of zombies running around, that wouldn't be able to work anymore. This equipment wouldn't look like that. That wouldn't be like that. Why would everybody be behaving like this? It's that's not the point of this thing. The point is the rom-com side. It's just being put up against like a zombie background. So yeah, if you are a stickler for those things, they go out for a joyride, basically.
Around the airport.
And I know there's gonna be some people who look at it as like, that car would not be in that good a shape after 8 years of the zombie apocalypse, which they did put like a little bit of rust on, but mostly it's fine. So yeah, if you are a stickler for that, you are gonna have some problems with this film, but if you can get that stuff out of your mind, I mean, hey, it's zombies. You already have to be able to drop a few layers of reality to be able to deal with this to begin with. Mm-hmm. So yeah, just accept it. But yeah, so they slowly start to be able to bond. And this guy, he has like a few traces of his past life in there. And this dude was a hipster. And the crazy thing is, this came out in the early 2010s. And because he's a zombie, he's got like the big black shadows under his eyes, and he's got like black lips. And it essentially just looks like he's an emo kid. Mm-hmm. It essentially just looks like he's got like the emo bedhead from the early 2010s. He's got like the emo makeup on. So you look at him, it's like, yeah, he's a zombie, but at the time that this film was made, that was in style. And she's looking at his record collection, he's like, I collect them. It's like, why don't you go digital? Better sound.
Like, I thought, like, he says it like it feels more alive, which I thought was
Which is a good line, yeah.
And he wants to feel alive, so I thought, oh, that makes sense why he collects records instead of like CDs.
Yeah, it actually, well, CDs don't last quite as long as records.
No, they need batteries and stuff, like CD players do.
But yeah, you're right. That is something to consider, is that it even has like an explanation beyond just being like a hipster thing. Mm-hmm. But put it against the backdrop of a romantic comedy, like, yeah, this is what everybody was talking about back in the early 2010s when they went on dates. Like, oh, what kind of music do you like? Oh, records? Oh, why? Oh, it feels more like this. Yeah, these were like basic conversations back then, but like they found a good way to like work it into the zombie backdrop. But as we said, this is Romeo and Juliet, because Julie's dad is the head of this like survival task force, mm-hmm. and he's running one of the last cities left in America with this giant wall all around it, and he's talking about how all zombies must be destroyed, which you learn later on that his mom turned into a zombie and that he was the one that had to shoot her, and she's learning, oh wait, no, they actually can feel things, because the thing that I like about this is that it doesn't just stop at R. They kind of show that, yeah, when he starts to feel things for this girl, it zooms in on his heart, and you see like, boom, boom, like it actually pumps once. And then you see all the other zombies in one scene, trying to feast on Julie, and he's fighting them off, and M is actually very confused about why are you doing this, but then M just decides to help. And now M can say a few more words as well. And then you cut to the scene of M and the other zombies just wandering around the airport as they always do. But then he stops and he looks at this photo. And it's a photo of two people holding hands. And he's just staring at it. And then other zombies start staring at it too. he looks over and goes, "Do you feel something?" And this
Yeah,
other-
because R and Julie were holding hands when they left.
Exactly. So and then like you see like flashbacks of M's previous life, and you see him holding hands with someone too. So he's getting like those memories of his past life. And now like all the zombies are kind of like starting to come back alive. They're slowly starting to remember what it was to be human. And yeah, it's actually that's the part that really kind of sold me more on this, because the initial concept, it's fun. It's a pretty fun concept. But when they actually go into like, oh, it's now got this thing that's like spreading out among the other zombies, and this cure is being created by it that's slowly like causing them to feel emotions and come back to life again. It's like, I actually enjoyed that. I thought that was actually something that I've never seen in a zombie film before. The fact that like the power of love was the cure all along. And seeing like the relationship between Julie and the other characters when they learn about these certain situations, like Julie's friend, who I don't even remember her name, but it's probably a reference to Romeo and Juliet too.
Well, she was a nurse.
Yes, she was a
And
nurse.
Juliet had a nurse.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, again, it's been since high school since I read this. I do not remember. But you're right, she did. I'm remembering this now. Okay, yeah. Oh, wow, that's actually really smart too. But that also is a good explanation for why, when she eventually learns out about R, she wouldn't try and, yes, high five there, Pete. She wouldn't try and immediately like turn him over to the authorities.
Yeah, she just like wants to examine him
Exactly.
and find out what's going on.
There's even a moment in which he is, in which R is viewing some of their flashbacks and the memories, and there's a moment when they're all out in the field going, if the world was different, if we could just be whatever we wanted to be, what would you be? And she says, a nurse. Maybe I could find a cure for all this. Of course you would not want to turn R in, even though he's a zombie. She's like, wait, is this actually working? Could this be a cure? It's established why she wouldn't want to do that. It's actually very smart, very well done. And I will say, the comedy side of this, I think, is actually pretty good too. It's not like, I didn't have any laugh out loud moments, but I had a few decent chuckles in here. Yeah. But it's not a laugh out loud comedy.
No.
It is a charming comedy.
Yeah.
It's a
Charmity.
It's a charmity. I like that. I actually like that. I'm going to use that from now on. It's a charmity. It's one of those movies that it's not a knee slapper, but you're like, that's pretty, yes, I enjoyed that. Yes, that made me feel good. But yeah, I did also enjoy, I'm not really going to get into it too much, but I did enjoy the end. There's like the big confrontation towards the end of all of this, and I did really enjoy how all that played out.
Yeah.
I also enjoyed that it'd be real easy to make Julie's dad just flat out evil, but I like that they give him an explanation for like why. Which, first off, they're going up against zombies. It's, like I said, it'd be easy to make him evil, but they do make sure to come in here and remind everyone, no, these are things that eat humans, and they killed his wife, and they would kill everyone in here if they got in here. It's like, yeah, he didn't know this was going to work out, and you can understand why he'd be skeptical of all this, but you do actually see him kind of like, understanding towards the end of all this, and I did enjoy that.
There's the Bonies.
We didn't even mention that.
Yeah, the Bonies are zombies who have lost every single bit of their humanity. It's like they're just savage monsters just want to hunt and eat. They
literally look like skeletons, which I like that all the zombies call them bonies, but there's a moment in which you see the military guys, they're on the radio going, yeah, there's corpses and there's also skeletons, and they keep referring to them as corpses and skeletons, and I like that the zombies all form their word for it, bonies. But then, like, the humans, they've got their own complete different term for it, skeletons, which would make sense, because it's not like the zombies would be able to go to the humans and go, we call them bonies. Yeah, I like that. I enjoy that they actually, like, thought that little bit out there. It's little details like that I always really enjoy in films. Yeah, I'm trying to think of anything else to say about this without, like, getting into, like, spoilery stuff. I will say I think all the performances are pretty good in here. Nobody really blew me away, but I think they're all pretty decent. The best performance, I think, is probably R, because I think he perfectly captures this look of, confusion at what's going on, but also being overloaded with emotions, but not being able to fully express those emotions because he's a zombie.
That's why he's always shrugging.
Yeah, always shrugging, which again, like early 2010s, like what's an attractive guy? Oh, the emo guy. Whatever. Yeah, whatever. It's like, it's very clear that's the kind of like guy he's trying to turn him into, but it's like, they came with an explanation for why a zombie would be like that. It works. What the hell was I going to say? Oh yeah, but yeah, there's so many moments in which he's got that kind of like, he's very happy about the thing, but you know his face can't really express it. So it's just like, like I thought they did that stuff very well. Nobody else in here really like blew me away, but nobody's bad. They're all like pretty decent in here.
They all fit their roles.
They all fit just fine. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Anything else to really talk about before, unless we want to get into the spoilery stuff? I will say for early 2010s, special effects, pretty good. Also, they do have a ton of music in the soundtrack, but because R collects music and music makes him feel alive, there's actually an explanation, so even when, like, a famous song just kicks in for no reason, it never really, like, took me out of a scene. It pretty much fit what they were doing. Yeah, so this is one of those films that, if you've never seen this, excuse me, if you've never seen this, Peach really wants to get down.
Yeah, she's being fussy.
If you've never seen this, I would recommend this. This is another one of those films that if you are not a big horror fan, but you want something that's just kind of like fun, and is still kind of Halloween-y, still involves like monsters of some sort, this one I think is great. Yeah.
Also, it's very sweet.
It is very sweet. This is actually a really good date movie, I would say. Movie is a really good date movie. But yeah, we'll do a little bit of spoiler thing, because there was one thing at the end that I want to mention that is definitely a spoiler thing. So we'll go into that right now. But at the end of all of this, what happens is they do find a way to bring R back to life. And this is, you know, it's supposed to be Romeo and Juliet. I did like that Romeo and Juliet, they both die at the end of this.
But in this one, they both end up alive.
Yeah, they come back to life. So there's still the transition from life to death. They just did it in the opposite direction in this one. So it's actually a really clever thing to do with the Romeo and Juliet parody.
Like, I also feel like this is like social commentary about like how if you want someone to act human, you have to treat them human
with respect, yeah.
Humanity.
Yeah, because at the end of all this, they realize, oh, the zombies, they actually can come back as long as like we open up to them. So they allow the zombies into the city, and the zombies rejoin society. And there's like this big spiel at the end in which R is saying like, yeah, you know, it was kind of frightening at first for all of us to be accepted in, but, you know, that's what, that ended up all working out. We all came together.
Yeah.
And you show, like, the humans, like, now getting along with the zombies. And, yeah, I think that you make a really good point. Like, this is good social commentary about it. It's like, yeah, man, just, like, accept people. And they'll, like, and everybody can open up to each other, and that's how we all kind of, like, live together with each other. And man, this came out in 2013. Today, the very final shot of this thing has a whole other meaning to it. Because back in 2013, this meant nothing, but, what's his face? John Malkovich, who's the dad, who's the guy running the city, he's putting up this giant wall around the city, which before, you know, you could look at that as like, oh, we create walls between each other. You could look at that as some kind of commentary, but now, man, it takes on a whole other meaning, because the final shot of this thing is them just tearing down this giant wall, and you look at it as like, wow, who knew that 3 years after this movie came out, we would have a president who ran on, I'm gonna put up a wall to keep people out. It's like, okay, alright, whoo, yeah, and you guys thought that this one was safe from me talking about putting politics in it. We talked about that a lot last week with the theme of everybody stuck in a place that they can't leave. I
was gonna make like a joke about how the American prison system can learn something from this movie about treating their inmates with more humanity, but
that's not a joke. That's more just it's like, no, treat prison inmates with more respect. But no, like the very final shot is like, I don't care what message they were trying to go for. The last 4 years have completely changed the meaning of that final shot, and it makes this a better movie because of it. But yeah, thank you guys very much for tuning in. Tomorrow we will be back with another viewer choice from not the patrons. As I said, we're rotating between the YouTube audience and the Patreon audience. So tomorrow we're going back to the YouTube audience with a film that is, wow, it's a big major film. It is a huge A-class film that I have never seen. And having just seen it, oh man, I'm glad this person recommended it. But thank you guys very much for tuning in. Come back next time, and as always, happy Halloween.
Bye.